All right, well, thanks a lot for having me here. Definitely wanted to introduce kind of a new nonprofit that we started here in Sedalia called the Sedalia Youth Basketball Association. My name is Kevin Thomas. I'm actually not new to the community. I've been here, step aside. I've been here in Sedalia for going on 13 years now. Originally from Jacksonville, Florida. How I got out here, played basketball in high school. One of my assistant coaches in high school coached at Southeast Missouri State for many years, so we knew a lot of coaches in Missouri. Ended up going to Three Rivers Community College in Poplar Bluff, played there for 2 years, then transferred to Drury University in Springfield and kind of finished up my degree, and then became a graduate assistant. So while I was done playing and getting my master's, one of the assistant coaches came actually to State Fair, and he was able to give me a job. So first job out of college was actually here at State Fair, and I was here for 10 years until moving over to Smith Cotton. That leads us to kind of the reason and why I decided to start this nonprofit. There we go. Before we get started, I don't know if you guys can read that, but what are some positive and negative things that come to mind when you think of youth sports today? Take about 30 seconds, kind of think of that question, and we'll kind of get started on that. Okay, so what are some positive things to think of when you think of youth sports? If you participated or if you have kids that have been involved, what are some good things? You have anybody?
Teamwork and leadership.
Yes, teamwork and leadership. Yep, definitely teamwork and leadership. That's something that I think is very valuable, especially as you get older. I know for me, working, getting into the workforce, a lot of my experiences from college and high school and learning to get along with people and learning how to be part of a team and kind of sacrifice definitely has helped me. Anything else, anything negative things that you might remember as a child or something that maybe whether it be a coach or just experiences?
Parents.
Parents. Parents. Yeah.
I know injuries is something a lot of parents think about now too.
Yes. Injuries are obviously a part of the game. Having positive coaches and positive role models can help with that. Sometimes, especially as you get older and you get into the high school age range and things get more competitive, there's some coaches that really they'll push a kid to play when he's injured. And then we also know there's also some kids that maybe aren't as tough as they need to be. So there's a balancing act for that. Oh, thank you. So, like I said, I founded this with Eric West. He was part of our organization when we first got started back in April of 2018. We became an official nonprofit August 2018. I'm not familiar with tax laws and all those things, so Eric was very instrumental in getting us up and running. He came up with our bylaws and different things to kind of get us organized. So currently, we have a board of directors that consists of 6 members. We have a president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, and 2 directors as well. So why create the SYBA? So I've been here for going on 13 years. One of the big things that I've noticed here in this area, as far as athletics, our athletics culture is something that's struggling. I talked to a lot of the other high school coaches that are with me at Smith Cotton, and that's one thing that we're trying to find ways to try to improve is our athletic culture. My big thing is a lot of it comes down to the parents. We can preach culture to the kids all we want, but you got to get the parents on board as well. They've got to understand, the things that are important. It's not about your kids, it's about the group, it's about the team. There's a big, a lot of, in Sedalia right now, there's a lot of kids that are playing baseball. We have a big baseball kind of youth organization around. We have Paul Clover Soccer, which they've done a really good job of promoting youth soccer in the area. And they've had competitive teams, and I'm not gonna lie, a lot of what we're doing is kind of piggybacking off what soccer's already done and has been doing for years. So this is our official mission. The mission of SYBA is to grow the game of basketball in the Sedalia community and surrounding area. It is designed to grow the game at the youth levels through positive skill development coupled with high character development for boys and girls. Its mission as a nonprofit is to organize rec leagues, competitive teams, and utilize fundraising along with events to help sponsor and grow the game of basketball. So one of the things that I've noticed too, as being here in Sedalia, especially on the basketball side, you'll have groups of, or you have parents that maybe their kids are really into basketball. So they'll go get some of their friends and kind of form a team, and they'll have those kids play together from, they're 7 or 8 all the way up until they get to high school. Well, what's happened is, say for instance, maybe I have a kid and his friends, I'm coaching them, but then the class behind them, there's not a parent that's either able or has the means to be able to do that. So you have groups of classes that come up to the high school level to where some kids have played a lot of basketball and you have some that haven't. So it's hard to have a lot of consistency. Also, Sedalia, we're a rural community. I know a lot of us here, some people that are born and raised feel like Sedalia is a city. We are still considered a rural community, especially when we compare it to Columbia or some other places. So a lot of times that factor kind of hurts us a little bit in the fact that a lot of kids maybe don't get the same experiences and the same opportunities as, say, if you were living an hour down the road or living in Springfield or Kansas City. So my goal really is to just try to provide a basketball opportunity where kids can get good training. They can get exposure. Some kids, maybe recreational is all that they want to play, and that's fine. But maybe there's some kids that want to play at a competitive level, maybe will have dreams of maybe even playing collegiately. So we want to try to provide those opportunities and give parents routes and things that they can do to make that dream come true. So last year was our first recreational league here. Started fall 2018. We had 315 kids participate. So that's today 200 kids. We had kids from surrounding cities as well, Cole Camp, Otterville. All the games were played at Smith Cotton High School. We had practices that were held twice a week at Sedalia 200 schools. And we used our boys and girls, high school players, to help keep score and officiate a lot of the games. I love the fact that our kids were involved in something because they did it. It was basically volunteer work for them, and they got to, kind of give back to the community. One thing that I did notice that was very, kind of shocked me a little bit. I shouldn't be, but it still did, is we had a lot of people from the community, some parents that were harassing the high school kids and getting out of line over 5 and 6 year old, basketball games, which is, kind of crazy. But that did happen quite a bit. We did have to have security on site at all the games, which is kind of crazy, but we did just to make sure that everybody kind of stayed in line. But that's something that we'll definitely be addressing more this year and have probably a little bit more presence to make sure that parents are doing what they're supposed to. As far as moving forward with our program, we've added this year a skill development program. Our biggest thing is we want to make sure things are affordable for all the kids. So for our skill development program, we had Zach Van Dievender, who he actually played at North Central College, played at Central Missouri, and then is actually currently a high school teacher at Smith Cotton. He coached the varsity girls program for us for 4 years before. He's going to be doing skill development work here in town. The Marshall family, they've graciously allowed us to use our facility to host some of those things, because I know Chuck and Charlie definitely have a vested interest in basketball. They love the game and would also like to see the game grow here in Sedalia. They are, born and raised Kentucky. If you guys know the Marshalls, and they love Kentucky basketball. That's their thing. So they would love to see Sedalia really grow with basketball. One of the things that we are forming this year is this is kind of the stage 2, was competitive teams. The biggest thing, and I see it all the time, is a lot of times too you have guys that, or ladies that they're coaching their daughters or coaching their sons, and they're very concerned with winning, especially at an early age. And the biggest thing, especially with youth sports, it's not about winning; it's about development. You don't play the game to try to win the game. You're playing the game to try to teach kids to play the right way, teach them to play, team ball. If you have a kid that comes up and kids develop at different rates. Some kids are a lot faster and stronger at an early age. Well, it's a lot easier to give that kid the ball and say, hey, go score a basket or go score a touchdown. And what happens is you end up robbing the other kids of their opportunities to really like the game and to grow. And that's something that we will definitely try to instill in our coaches that are in our program, is we don't care about the end result. We want to make sure that kids are having fun and that they're learning to play the game appropriately in the right way. Because when they get older, if that's the way they've been coached all the way up, it's very hard for them to understand team concept when they get to be in high school or get to be, at the college level. Financially, we're going to try to support these teams as much as possible. In order for our competitive teams to really thrive, for them to get the competition that they do need to travel and come out of Sedalia. So we would play in tournaments in Columbia, Kansas City, maybe Springfield. Obviously, in order to do that, that costs money. The geographical issue as well. Parents have to commit to traveling and taking their kids, 2 hours out of the way to go up there. So that's something that our organization is going to try to do as far as paying for tournament fees, maybe paying for hotels and things like that. We'd like to get to a point where we're able to fund some of these to keep the costs as low as possible, so that if kids want to have promise and they want to participate, money is not going to be the issue why they don't do it. Like I said, we'd like to get to a point where all our coaches are trained through coaching clinics, things like that, things that we would like to bring to Sedalia to help our coaches be as trained as possible. For those of you who have kids that have done, piano lessons or anything else, if you want to have really good coaching and, it costs money obviously to train coaches, things like that, we're gonna have to get to a point where we're compensating some of these coaches for their time. If they're gonna put in that kind of effort and do things like that, then we want to recruit quality people that are gonna do things the right way and have a little bit of incentive to be rewarded for what they're doing. At the end, I put there, we like to get away from daddy ball. So those of you guys know who daddy ball is, that dad that has his kid that has him playing quarterback, has him playing point guard, has him doing, all the so-called, the fun positions and not allowing kids to develop the right way. So talking about future strategic plan, coaching clinics, something that we'd love to see happen here in the near future. We're also in the process of trying to host tournaments and leagues. I'm also on the park board here in town, and they just passed, we just got the Hecker Community Center passed here in town, which is, I think, is going to be a great thing for youth sports, for our community in general. And we've already got ideas of trying to, that kind of be the hub of our program and, host tournaments and leagues and things like that as well. And also bring, sports tourism to Sedalia. I think by having tournaments and having them grow, you're going to see people staying in hotels, people, using the restaurants, putting gas in their vehicles and all that kind of stuff. All right, at this point, does anybody have any questions? Yes.
How many current court facilities are there that are playable for tournaments right now in town before the Hecker Center gets here?
So right now, and there's been tournaments that have been held. So at Smith Cotton, we have basically, we have our main gym, and we can have 2 regulation courts going this way. And then we have an ox gym in the back that has 1 regulation floor. And then we do have kind of a real small, another gym floor upstairs behind the behind the bleachers that can be used, but it's not a regulation size. Sacred Heart has their main court. They can have two games going on their main court as well. And they have their old gym that has it's kind of a small high school gym, but it has a gym there. Our junior high, again, is our old high school has 2 main courts in there. And we have the FEMA building that has a gym in there, and then the middle school, the floor isn't very good, but you can have a game going on in there as well.
And what will Heckert have?
So Heckert will have 3 full regulation courts in it. They'll have, there's going to be a walking track up there, concession stand, all that kind of stuff. Yes.
What's the ages that you have?
So for right now, for our recreational league, we are 6 through 12. Eventually, if there's a need, we'll kind of go up into the junior high and maybe add a high school division. But at this point, that was probably the biggest need, was something at that age, that 1st through 6th grade range. The only issue is if we go up to 7th or 8th or higher, as I'm also the basketball coach, so I have to follow MISHA guidelines and rules. I wouldn't be able to have any contact with those 7th graders, outside of the season as far as coaching them. So that's where you have a little bit of a hang up. So, yes.
Coach, when does your season run?
So the rec season runs, registration just started last week. The season will start October 21st when practice starts. And then their games are played Saturdays. And then it will end like December, I want to say 17th, somewhere around there, right before Christmas break.
Thank
Yes.
Yeah, congratulations on your participation. Looks like you had a lot of kids participate. What obviously saw a void there. What did kids do to play basketball before you started this last year?
So there was my very first year when I first left State Fair, I had a Sedalia 200 kind of recreational league, kind of similar to this, but it was just for Sedalia 200 kids. Myself and John Tester, the former girls coach, kind of put that together. Before that, there was Sedalia Parks and Rec. They had kind of their recreational league, which they did. They provided service. When I came to them and told them what I was planning on doing, Amy was very happy to pass that baton on to me. And our biggest thing, I just wanted to see it grow. They offer so many different things that I think as far as trying to do it great, it's kind of hard because they have so many other activities and things they're putting on. So this is strictly what I focus on is basketball. Like you can see, we're going to try to do coaching clinics and create competitive teams. Just try to make it, instead of just providing a service, but make it really grow and be something really nice. So, yes.
Okay, and I'm Carolyn Brooker with the Visitors Bureau, and yes, sports tourism is big. So anything that we can get to generate that in Sedalia is wonderful. So thank you for what you're doing and being on the park board and getting the Hecker here. We need that. A question on your Smith Cotton Junior High. Was those two that you were referring to, are they regulation size?
Kind of. They're a little bit smaller than a high school court, but they're pretty close. Pretty close.
And then in the FEMA?
The FEMA, they have a regulation high school court in there as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yes.
How are you gonna cover the money aspects, particularly if it's a competitive league? I'm talking about entry fees and hotel fees, etc.
So right now, like I said, we're the board. All the people on our board are basically, they're volunteers. We don't pay ourselves a stipend or anything like that. We all do it just because we want to see the game grow. So we charge $55 for the recreational league. That's money that we generate. All our teams were sponsored by businesses. So businesses that want to sponsor a team, it's $150, and they get their name on a shirt and that kind of thing. So all the money that's generated will be used to. Money that's not spent running our website, operational costs will be used to try to fund teams. So will we be able to fund, teams 100%? No, but if we can knock that cost down to where instead of, a kid having, like my son, he plays competitive soccer in Kansas City. For fall and spring season, it's like $1,800. Yeah, and that's the thing. Youth sports in this country have become. You're seeing the participation of people from lower income really decline because youth sports become so expensive. It's become like the club he plays for. They'll tell you straight, it's a business. They're not operating as far as a nonprofit. They're trying to make revenue. It's an absolute business. And you see those soccer fields in Kansas City. They're building all these turf fields up there. Like Kansas City is probably. Well, not probably. It's the biggest. They have the biggest youth soccer organization in the country. They have over 30,000 kids playing youth soccer in Kansas City, which is it's crazy. You probably wouldn't even think of that being in Kansas City, but it is. Soccer's really blown up, and they charge. A lot of those programs up there charge a lot of money to play. And basketball has become the same way. Baseball is the same way. So, for me and my family, I'm a teacher. My wife's a teacher. For our son to participate, we really have to, figure out and budget. All right, well. This is going to be some of our vacations. You going to your tournament or you going doing this. You got to make, sacrifices or make adjustments on how you live and what you do. And we're trying to avoid that. We're trying to make it, like I said, as affordable as possible. Hopefully, if we get more businesses involved, we'll be able to do more as far as bringing that cost down. So, yes.
You said you had 42 teams last year. How many team sponsors did you have?
We had every team was sponsored. So yeah, we had, that's one thing about this community. Like when you have something like this and you explain to them what you're doing, I feel like a lot of businesses, they go out of their way to try to help you. Like very rarely, last year we went through the process of reaching out to businesses. We had pretty much every team had a business within, probably a couple weeks. Like there was very few businesses that said no. So, yes.
Being that it's rec ball, do you have issues with like in-season sports for kids that have wanted to play multiple sports?
as far as, well, see, we try to time it, and that's one thing when I sat down and figured out all right, when's the best time to have the season. I looked at like Paul Clover, their recreational season ends like mid-October. Baseball, obviously in Missouri, it's too cold to play baseball, for the most part, kids aren't playing baseball. So that window right there, in the winter is perfect as far as kids not doing anything. So I think that's part of the reason why we had so many kids participate. Just the timing in that window, because once February hits, kids start getting back to playing baseball and that kind of thing. And, eventually at some point, our competitive season will run that spring. And there'll be some kids that, probably will choose, whichever sport they like better. If they like baseball, they'll go play baseball. If they like basketball, they'll play basketball, or, some of them play soccer, so. Yes.
Do you know what percentage kids actually play basketball versus the number that's in the Sedalia school system in that age range?
I don't know. I would say that number is very low. I know there's been some guys in town, those of you that are from here, like Keith Hawkins and some other people, Joe Gay, that have had some kind of competitive teams that have played. But which, like I said, what you have is maybe one team, and there's a need of, probably, you could probably field 2 or 3 other teams of kids that probably want to play, but they just don't have enough coaches to do that. So that's where we come in back to, we're probably gonna have to compensate coaches and things like that at that competitive level if you want to get more people to want to give their time up. I've got some former players that have played for me that have coached some teams here and there. Spencer Ruckman is a guy that played at State Fair for me and actually played at Smith Cotton, and he took a group of 7th grade or a group of 8th graders last spring, to Kansas City to play in some tournaments, and he did that, completely out of his own pocket because he just, he likes the game, wanted to help out, but you can't ask people to do that on a consistent basis, especially when they have 9 to 5, they have a family and that kind of thing. He's 23, 24 years old. He really didn't have a whole lot going on, but still, at 24 years old, I'm sure he'd like to enjoy his weekends and hang out and have a good time as well. So, yes.
You say this is Sedalia youth basketball, but is it open to other communities, other counties?
Yes.
What are the restrictions on that? And then how do you let these outer counties know about?
Yep. So yes, it is open to so we had people from I think we had some kids from Warsaw come down and play. So it's open to anybody that's able to come and get to practices and get to games. Usually I send emails out to the administrators at all the kind of like 30-mile radius. Send the emails out to them. Sedalia Parks and Rec, they have information, so if people call, they give them our information as well. And we have a Facebook page, which I thought about creating a Twitter page, but the more and more I kind of look into it, I feel like especially that demographic from 25 to 30, 40 years old, they're probably more on Facebook than they are on Twitter. That's probably the best way to reach some of them. So, any other questions? Yes.
So what can we do as a community to help you?
My biggest thing is probably get the word out. I don't know a lot about, as far as like tax law and things like that. So this year, Eric West stepped down, so I've had to take the reins on some of the administrative tasks, which so far we're doing okay. We kind of hooked up with Wilson and Toner and, trying to see if they can help us out. Because that's my biggest fear is I don't want to end up in jail for tax fraud or anything like that. But biggest thing is, just support from the community, businesses. If you know a business that wants to sponsor a team or anything like that, definitely, can contact me and we can get you all hooked up. So.
How much is a sponsorship?
$150. Yeah. All right. Thank you.